Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and to this huge big portrait in soft pastel of two gorgeous spaniels. I hope that you enjoy seeing them come together in this speedy version. Do check me out over on my Patreon channel though if you would like real-time tutorials and to learn how to create something like this. But if you enjoy this here, then please do remember to hit subscribe. This piece is 22 by 18 inches, so pretty big. You know it's big when I've got my big drawing board out, and I'm using the brown colour of pastel matte paper. As you will see in this progression, the reference images of the two dogs were taken indoors, but my client wanted a nice outdoors grassy background. So this is a pretty plain background that I've used a couple of times actually, just with like a hint of a distant hedge, and then you get a sense of the grass coming towards us in the foreground. Now this is something that I have to do quite often in pet portraits. You're just lucky sometimes if you get photographs of the animals themselves, and you're not always lucky enough to capture a good background for the piece. So quite often I have to change the backgrounds, and this is something that I am going to make a very in-depth video about because I have several tips on what to look out for. I've done that so many times, and there are these same things that I have to look for every time. So keep a lookout for that. That's coming very soon here on my YouTube channel. And then you can see here, this is the first of the gorgeous spaniels. This is Bella. And they make such a lovely pair. They were also clearly quite good at posing because in all of the photos they are posing like little pros. But it's still difficult even with dogs who can pose very well and know how to sit in front of a camera. It's still sometimes quite tricky to get photos that translate well into a painting, and also photos that truly capture the character or a really good likeness of the animal. So that's always my aim, to get the best likeness of the animal. So I often work alongside my clients to try and guide them as part of the process in getting good references, because I'm not always able to meet the animals who I paint. And a lot of the time, I am relying on getting to know those animals just from the photo references that come from my clients. So both of these dogs look so cute in their photos, and they're really well lit. They've got really good lighting on their faces. I can see everything really clearly. And then when transferring that from an indoor setting to an outdoor setting, as I said, there are several little things that I look out for to try and blend the two together, to try and make it seem like the dogs really were sitting outside in the grass. But as I said, I'll go into that in a lot more detail in the next video that I release here on my YouTube. Now, in terms of the other materials that I'm using, you can see that I'm using some bigger chunky pastel sticks. These are mostly unison pastels. I have a few Terry Ludwigs as well that I commonly use. Then I've got a harder black stick that I tend to use a lot, and in this case it's the new pastel that I'm using, but as many of you know, you can't actually buy these individually anymore, so I'm still working through older stock that I have. And there are several other brands that are quite similar, so any brand of that will do. And then a few pastel pencils, as you can see popping up here. I don't tend to use too many pastel pencils. They are more to help me with the tiniest details. And 99% of the time I will try to put the pigment down using the bigger sticks, and then just tweak it into place with the help of the pencils. So I absolutely love using the pastel sticks. They are so immediate. You just put the pigment straight on the paper, and from there it's still quite workable, quite movable, so you don't have to get the marks perfectly to begin with. I get asked that all the time. How do you make such detailed marks with big chunky pastel sticks? And the answer is that half the time I don't. I do have a pretty good level of accuracy in applying the pastel sticks on the paper. But beyond that, it's a lot of pushing and pulling and moving the pigment around until I'm happy with it. And it's quite a versatile medium, so it lets you do a lot when it is already applied to the paper. So here I am reaching the bottom half of Bella. And once I've finished her body and her legs, I also work on the little area of grass just right in around her. That just helps me to see how this is all going to piece together. And I tend to work on the grass in and around the paws while I'm working on the paws, because I really want it to seem like those paws are believably sitting on grass. And what normally happens if they were really sitting on the grass, of course, they would sink into it a little bit. You would get some blades of grass coming up around them. And that's what I try to do here, just to make it that bit more believable that they really were sitting outside. So there's a lot that you can do with photo references. A lot of the time, some people might question why you would bother having a painting done in quite a photorealistic style. And one of the reasons, I think, one of the best reasons, is that the artist can apply so much artistic license to the reference images. There are so many little changes that I've made, not just by changing the background, although that's a major change, but lots of little decisions that I've made along the way to enhance what I can see in the photo reference, and to, in the end, sometimes create something that never actually existed in a photo. So that's the wonderful thing about painting. You can really take a bit of artistic license, and the aim for me is always to end up with a painting that looks better, more inviting than the original photo reference or photo references. So that's Bella done. Now we're on to Benji. And of course, this is quite a big scale, so I really spent a long time on this piece. 2 full body dogs is usually quite a long process, but especially Spaniels with curly ears. Curls are definitely one of the more challenging types of fur. So if you're struggling with anything like that, I already have quite a few curly fur tutorials in my library. And I even have some Spaniel tutorials there already, if this is a breed that you want to paint. And although my tutorials are via Patreon, and I'll add a link to that in the description below, you can also browse all of the tutorials that I have available in my library, as I have them all listed on my website, emmacolbertart.com. This is where I keep them all nice and organised. You can browse before signing up, and then you can also use that library to direct you to each and every part belonging to all of the tutorials. So it's just a nice organised way to let you browse and also gain access to all of my tutorials, because there are lots. I've been making tutorials now since 2018, so there are a lot of different dog breeds. As well as that, a lot of different types of backgrounds. And then also I love painting landscapes, still life. So all sorts of different subject matter in there. But the dog section of my tutorials library is probably the biggest one, because I still love painting dogs, probably more than anything. So I've painted many, many breeds over the years, and the Spaniel is probably about to overtake Dachshunds, to be honest. I thought that I had painted more Dachshunds than anything else, also perhaps golden retrievers, Labradors. But I think the Spaniel is quickly overtaking all of the breeds. In fact, I cannot count how many times I've had really lush, curly ears to create. And I love painting the same breed again and again because just look at these two. They're so different. You can really see their differences. You can see their different personalities and their characters just by the expression they have. And I love that. I love looking for all the little subtle differences, even if it's two dogs of the same breed. It's not just slight differences in colour. You can really see the difference between them in their expressions alone. So I will always love painting dogs, and I hope that I am lucky enough to continue painting dogs for many clients for years to come. That love began painting my own family's animals when I was a kid. And I'm so happy now to be able to do this for other people as well, because I know how important my paintings and other people's paintings of my pets are. I know that these are some of my most treasured possessions. I have a little portrait of my dachshund who passed away about 3 years ago now, and I have a little portrait from an artist friend, and that is one of my most treasured possessions. So I know how much these portraits mean to people, and I'm always so delighted to be asked to do something special like this. And I hope that you've enjoyed seeing them come together here in this incredibly speedy version, because this piece took me quite a long time. Again, if you would like some real-time videos or tutorials or demos, do come and check out my full library. I've also got a ton of playlists here on my YouTube channel all about soft pastel, including a few real-time tutorials and demos for you to try it out. But thank you so much for watching this here. Please do remember to subscribe. It helps my channel so much. And until next time, happy pasteling.